The late afternoon sun, a generous, golden sphere, already beginning its descent towards the horizon, cast long, elegant shadows through the expansive, pristine glass windows of Glow Go Nail Salon. Its warmth diffused into the sprawling, air-conditioned space, creating a deceptive aura of tranquility that belied the simmering tensions within. Beneath the almost meditative hum of sophisticated salon dryers, the faint, sweet scent of countless bottles of nail polish, and the occasional, delicate clinking of metal instruments against ceramic bowls, a subtle, almost imperceptible dissonance vibrated in the air. This was a place designed for relaxation, yet for the truly discerning, a jarring note of inequity was evident. Aisha Kamau, a woman whose inherent grace was as undeniable as the meticulous tailoring of her vibrant coral designer suit, sat patiently in a plush, charcoal gray velvet chair. Her posture was impeccable, a silent testament to her poise and inner strength. Her deep brown skin, luminous and flawless, seemed to absorb and reflect the salon's soft, carefully curated lighting, providing a striking contrast to the sterile white walls and gleaming chrome fixtures that adorned the sprawling space. She had arrived precisely at 4 p.m. for her scheduled appointment, a discreet, unscheduled visit to comprehensively assess the salon's operational standards and, more critically, its prevailing customer service ethics. This was not a frivolous outing. It was a pivotal preliminary step for a potential, substantial corporate partnership through her husband's renowned Thorn Global Initiatives Foundation, which aimed to uplift and empower promising local businesses by fostering equitable practices. As she waited, her keen eyes, trained by years in philanthropy, strategic business ventures, and navigating complex social landscapes, observed every minute detail. She noted the perfunctory, almost resentful greetings extended to some clients, a stark contrast to the effusive warmth, the fawning attention, and the immediate seating reserved for others. She saw the rushed, almost slapdash movements of certain nail technicians, their faces strained with barely concealed frustration, while others enjoyed a leisurely, attentive pace, engaging in relaxed, jovial banter with their stylists, clearly enjoying a privileged experience. These subtle discrepancies, mere ripples on the surface, already sent vibrant red flags fluttering in the periphery of her highly analytical mind. Next, the receptionist, Brenda, snapped, her voice devoid of any genuine warmth, her gaze barely flickering up from the glow of her computer screen, where she seemed engrossed in a social media feed. There was a dismissive, almost weary tone in her voice, a practiced disdain that Aisha had already logged in her meticulous mental report. Brenda's gaze, when it did briefly alight on Aisha, was cursory, a rapid sweep over her elegant appearance that seemed to deliberately dismiss her expensive fabric and intricate details as mere well-done knockoffs, or simply not representing the right kind of money, the kind that Brenda, it was becoming increasingly clear, valued above all else. A quick, almost imperceptible scoff escaped Brenda's thin, painted lips, a sound of utter contempt. Aisha maintained her composure, her smile remaining serene, though a flicker of cold determination now hardened her eyes. Aisha Kamau, 4 p.m. appointment, she stated politely, her voice calm and clear. She extended her hand, offering her phone screen, which clearly displayed the confirmation text message from Glow Go itself, complete with date and timestamps. Brenda scoffed again, a louder, more theatrical sound this time, laced with palpable derision. Kamau? Her long, brightly manicured fingers, adorned with cheap, sparkling rings, danced across the keyboard with an exaggerated slowness, as if performing a tedious, utterly frustrating task. She sighed dramatically. Oh, wait. Yes, I do see a Kamau, but it's for next Tuesday, not today. We're fully booked for the next 2 weeks. Absolutely no availability, darling. We simply don't have space for walk-ins from anywhere, really. Perhaps try a walk-in at one of those neighborhood spots. Her voice, now dripping with saccharine condescension, was clearly designed to sting, punctuated by a dismissive wave towards a vague, less affluent part of the city, implying Aisha belonged somewhere far less grand than Glow Go, a place for the unrefined. Just at that precise, infuriating moment, a flurry of high-definition camera flashes erupted outside the salon's grand glass entrance, drawing every eye and momentarily blinding Aisha. A collective gasp rippled through the salon as a figure of local celebrity entered. Crystal Lane, a popular local social media influencer infamous for her reality show Accra Glam and her meticulously curated online persona, swept into the salon with a self-important flourish. She was trailed by an entourage of 2 harried assistants and a personal photographer, all vying for her attention, snapping pictures for immediate upload to her voracious online followers. Brenda's demeanor instantly transformed. Her face contorted into a wide, almost sickeningly sweet smile that seemed entirely too large for her face. Her eyes glittered with the prospect of an Instagram story feature. "Mr. Lane, welcome, welcome. Your usual suite is ready. Right this way, darling. Your fans are already asking for you on the live feed." Without a second thought, Brenda abandoned her post, leaving her computer screen unattended, and practically physically ushered Crystal past Aisha, who stood frozen, still clutching her appointment slip like a forgotten relic, the text message proof burning in her hand. Aisha's jaw tightened imperceptibly, a small muscle twitching in her temple, betraying her rapidly rising ire. The injustice of it all, so blatant and unapologetic, felt like a deliberate physical blow, a calculated degradation. From a strategically placed corner booth, nestled amongst decorative potted plants and stylish magazines, a young man named Leo, seemingly engrossed in his phone, subtly adjusted his device. His screen displayed a live feed, already boasting hundreds of viewers, rapidly climbing as he continued to broadcast. His fingers expertly tapped, tagging the Glow Go location and adding a cryptic hashtag, Salon Shenanigans and Accra Unfiltered. He had a knack for being in the right place at the right time, and a keen eye for what went viral. His viewers were already commenting furiously on the developing scene. Aisha rose slowly from the velvet chair she had been occupying, her movements deliberate, controlled, as if each action was a testament to her profound self-control. Her voice, though calm, now carried an undeniable edge, sharp as a freshly honed blade, cutting through the rising murmur. "Excuse me, Brenda, I have an appointment, 4 p.m. I confirmed it yesterday, even received a text reminder." She extended her iPhone, clearly displaying the confirmation message from the salon. Her composure, usually unshakable even in the face of blatant disrespect, was now teetering on the brink of shattering. Every fiber of her being screamed at the indignity, the casual racism and classism that was so boldly on display. Brenda spun around, her sycophantic smile vanished, replaced by a venomous scowl that contorted her features into an ugly mask. "Look, lady," she snapped, her voice barely a whisper yet vibrating with pure venom. "We don't have time for your sort of trouble. Crystal needs her nails done. She's a VIP. She brings us clicks and cash. Now, if you'll just step aside and let us work." She gestured towards the exit with a dismissive flick of her wrist, her hand brushing Aisha's arm in a clear, aggressive attempt to physically push her away. A few nearby nail technicians averted their gaze, suddenly absorbed in their work, clearly uncomfortable but unwilling to interfere. "My sort of trouble?" Aisha's voice, though still quiet, vibrated with barely contained fury, a low tremor of indignation that threatened to erupt. "Are you implying what I think you're implying, Brenda?" The underlying accusation of racial bias, of blatant preferential treatment based on skin color and perceived status, hung heavy and undeniable in the salon's sterile air, poisoning the atmosphere. Several other clients, caught in their own treatments, glanced up, their conversations dying as they sensed the rapidly escalating drama. A few whispered amongst themselves, their eyes darting between Aisha and Brenda, some pulling out their own phones discreetly. "Just get out," Brenda hissed, her face contorting in an ugly sneer, losing all pretense of professionalism. Her eyes narrowed with pure malice. She snatched a nearby metal nail file from a tray and made a show of dusting off a chair next to Aisha, her movements agitated and aggressive. In a swift, deliberate movement, her hand slipped, and the file's rough, unforgiving edge scraped sharply across Aisha's thumb, drawing a distinct, crimson bead of blood against her perfectly manicured nail. The pain was sharp, but the shock was greater. "Oops, clumsy me." Brenda purred, her eyes glinting with malicious, unrepentant satisfaction. Maybe you should be more careful around expensive equipment. Some people just don't know how to act in a high-class establishment, do they? Crystal Lane, from her pampered suite, watched the entire exchange with a detached smirk, clearly amused by Aisha's public humiliation, even pulling out her own phone to record a quick, snide video for her stories, whispering comments to her assistant. Aisha stared at her bleeding thumb, the vibrant red a shocking stain against her flawless skin, a stark symbol of the violation, of the casual cruelty she had just endured. A cold wave of incandescent fury, unlike anything she had felt in years, washed over her, replacing the last vestiges of her patience and composure. This wasn't just rudeness, it was a deliberate, racially motivated assault, a calculated act of malice. This was personal, and it was public. Slowly, she lifted her gaze to Brenda's triumphant, sneering face. The quiet strength in Aisha's eyes, now blazing with righteous indignation, was chilling. Her hand, though trembling slightly, was steady as she slowly, deliberately pulled out her sleek, latest model iPhone. Her voice, though quivering with suppressed rage, was clear and cold, cutting through the salon's low hum like ice. Elias, I need you at Glow, go, now. No, don't ask questions. Just come, and bring the team, all of them, and make sure the feed is ready. We're going live. Less than 10 minutes later, as Brenda continued to bask in her perceived victory, smugly chatting with a now nervous Crystal Lane, a palpable shift occurred in the salon's atmosphere. A deep, resonant hum, growing steadily louder, permeated the space, accompanied by a subtle vibration in the floor. All heads turned towards the grand glass entrance. A sleek, black Tesla SUV, customized with subtle, dark chrome accents and an almost predatory gleam, pulled silently to a stop directly outside the salon's floor-to-ceiling windows. It was no ordinary car. It seemed to hum with suppressed power, its imposing presence commanding instant attention. The automatic doors glided open with an almost theatrical flair, and out stepped Alias Thorne, a tech billionaire whose name resonated across continents, a man known as much for his ruthless business acumen as for his philanthropic endeavors. He was dressed in a sharp, understated suit, his expression a mask of controlled fury, his eyes scanning the interior, instantly locking onto Aisha. But he wasn't alone. From the back of the Tesla, a small, discreet team emerged, moving with a practiced, almost military efficiency. Casually dressed, some in dark, unpretentious attire, others with subtle, perhaps Halloween-themed accessories like a small bat pin or a spiderweb scarf that blended them into the festive October backdrop. They were clearly professionals. One carried a professional broadcast camera on a gimbal, another a discreet boom mic. Both seemingly unremarkable until one noticed their deliberate, focused movements, positioning themselves strategically. Elias, perfectly composed despite the obvious tension in the air, had a small, nearly invisible earpiece and a lapel mic. He didn't rush in. Instead, he stopped just outside the entrance, his powerful presence commanding instantaneous silence. His voice, amplified slightly by his mic, was clear and resonant, cutting through the stunned quiet as he addressed the entire salon. His words echoed, not just within the salon, but across the burgeoning digital airwaves. "Brenda," he stated, his piercing gaze, dark and unyielding, locking onto her, "I believe you just assaulted my wife, Aisha Kamau. And what you failed to realize is that this entire incident, from the moment you dismissed her, is currently being broadcast live to millions across the globe. You are on the main feed of Thorne Global Initiatives." The salon erupted in a cacophony of gasps, panicked whispers, and outright horror. Brenda's face, initially pale with surprise, flushed a mottled scarlet, then drained of all color, leaving her ashen and trembling as she looked from Elias to the small camera crew, whose lenses were now unmistakably fixed on her, broadcasting her every panicked breath, her every desperate flicker of denial. Crystal Lane, her hand frozen above a pot of glitter, stared, her jaw dropping open in utter disbelief, a single, horrified question forming silently on her lips. "What?" It was then that Leo, from his corner, stood up, holding his phone high. Its screen showed not just hundreds, but tens of thousands of viewers, and a bold red banner blinking brightly. Live. Billionaire husband exposes Salon bias. Hashtag Justice for Aisha. Hashtag Glow and Go exposed. His own live count was climbing rapidly, mirroring Elias's own private broadcast, which was now displayed on the Salon's large wall-mounted televisions, replacing the usual music videos with the stark, unflinching reality of the scene. The comments section exploded. Brenda stammered, her voice a mere croak, entirely devoid of its previous venom, cracking with fear. Mr. Thorne, I don't know what you mean. This is a terrible misunderstanding. She didn't have an appointment. She's causing trouble. It was an accident. Her eyes darted wildly, searching for an escape. Elias walked directly to Brenda, his presence overwhelming, a force of nature. His voice, calm but authoritative, resonated through the live feed, carrying his words to every corner of the globe. My foundation, Thorne Global Initiatives, was considering a substantial investment in Go, approximately $3.5 million, to establish comprehensive community training programs here. Programs that would offer opportunities, scholarships, and stable, well-paying careers to hundreds of aspiring technicians from underserved communities across Accra, providing them with a pathway to dignified employment. However, recent anonymous reports of discriminatory practices and systemic bias here led us to dispatch my wife, Aisha, on an undercover assessment this afternoon. What we have just witnessed, and what has been recorded, he gestured to his crew and then to Leo's now clearly visible live feed, which was dominating local trends, is an appalling display of prejudice, classism, and outright assault. This is precisely the kind of bias we, as a foundation, are dedicated to identifying and eradicating wherever it festers, and ensuring that no one else has to endure what Aisha just did. The stuns all moment solidified into undeniable, terrifying reality for Brenda. Her world, built on a shaky foundation of superficial judgment and arrogance, crumbled around her. Her face crumpled, tears beginning to stream down her cheeks, mingled with streaks of makeup. Crystal Lane, seeing the true extent of the public spectacle, desperately tried to hide her face behind a fashion magazine, then her hands, then even attempted to crawl under her chair, whimpering. But it was too late. Her own snide video, recorded moments earlier, had already been screen-recorded by dozens of viewers and was being replayed in the live comments, magnifying her complicity. The other customers, many of whom had quietly observed Brenda's atrocious behavior for years, watched with a mixture of shock, dawning satisfaction, and a shared sense of profound vindication. The screens of phones held by onlookers, now glued to the live stream, flickered with comments of outrage, disgust, and overwhelming support for Aisha, calls for justice flooding the feeds, demanding the Salon's closure. Elias's gaze remained unwavering as he looked directly at Brenda, his voice carrying the weight of absolute finality. Your employment here is terminated, effective immediately, Brenda. You will be escorted out. He then turned his attention, his voice resonating with unyielding authority, to the shell-shocked salon manager, a disheveled man who had emerged from a back office. His face, a mask of terror. And as for Go, Elias continued, addressing the manager and, through the live broadcast, the entire world. This establishment will now be under new management, effective Halloween night. My foundation will acquire it. We will transform it. It will undergo a complete overhaul, focusing on rigorous diversity and inclusion training, fair hiring practices, and transparent customer service. It will become a true beacon of inclusivity and opportunity, a safe and welcoming space for everyone, regardless of their background, their skin color, or how they arrive. This will be a place where talent thrives and respect is paramount. Aisha stood beside Elias, her hand now gently held in his, her bleeding thumb, a quiet, stark testament to the injustice she'd endured, but also a symbol of her courage. Her quiet strength, once dismissed and trampled upon, was now affirmed on a global stage, her resilience a powerful message resonating with millions. The incident, meticulously planned by Brenda to shame and belittle her, had instead become a powerful beacon, unmasking systemic prejudice and sparking a viral reckoning that would resonate far beyond the gilded walls of Glow, Go, echoing across social media platforms, news channels, and into countless homes. The Salon, once a symbol of exclusive luxury marred by hidden prejudice, was about to be transformed into a testament of justice, a blueprint for true community empowerment, all for the world to see. It was a stark reminder that true power lay not just in wealth, but in using it to champion justice, to dismantle systemic bias, and to force the world to think deeply about their own daily actions and the unseen battles fought by others. The story of Glow, Go, and the woman who refused to be silenced had just begun its journey across the digital world, sparking vital conversations and igniting a movement for change in its wake, proving that one act of courage could truly reshape a narrative.